Now, you imagine working in a team like that, where 1 minute we're doing this thing, but then we're doing this thing. None of us are believing it.
No.
We're just thinking, this is so lightweight. This is not a businesswoman. She's talking all the time about being a businesswoman, but she's not showing that she's a businesswoman.
Absolutely.
You ever look at a situation and think, how is this still happening? That's exactly where we are with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Every few weeks, there's another misstep. A PR stunt that lands flat, a rebrand that doesn't make sense, or yet another staffer jumping ship. And now there's a number floating around that's hard to ignore, 22. That's how many staff members have walked away or been quietly let go since Meghan and Harry left royal duties. 22 professionals in just 5 years. It doesn't take a genius to see the pattern. This isn't about a few interns or assistants coming and going. These were high-level hires, strategists, directors, social media leads, announced with buzz and excitement, only to disappear before making any real impact. You'd think, after a dozen departures, someone would stop and wonder if the problem might be internal. But not in Montecito. Over there, the answer always seems to be another press release, another new era, and somehow still more chaos. Sure, staff turnover happens, but when it's happening at this scale, you've got to ask, what's really going on behind those curated Instagram posts and polished interviews? These weren't random hires from nowhere. These were seasoned professionals pulled from companies like Netflix, Spotify, top PR firms, people with track records of success. Yet somehow, none of them stick. They're brought in with titles like visionary strategist or communications powerhouse, and a few months later, they vanish without a trace. No wins, no campaigns, just a polite farewell statement and a deleted LinkedIn update. And then there's the bizarre stuff, like the alleged twerking video idea, reportedly pitched as part of Meghan's luxury lifestyle rebrand. That cringeworthy concept was the final straw for some staffers, because nothing says elegance and legacy like awkward viral bait. You can't help but wonder who approved that pitch and how anyone thought it would fix the brand. The truth? It didn't. It just sent more professionals running for the door. What's really wild is how Meghan and Harry continue to act like none of this is their doing. It's always someone else's fault. The media twisted the story. The team didn't get their vision. The plan was always to pivot. But after a while, the excuses run thin. Because when the only constant in the equation is them, it's hard not to point the finger inward, especially when you factor in the cost, hiring bonuses, NDAs, severance packages. Multiply that by 22 and the financial toll alone is staggering. And make no mistake, these aren't people quietly leaving. Many of them were brought in to rescue a brand that's been stumbling for years. But even they couldn't survive the environment long enough to make meaningful change. It's not just about creative differences or media pressure. It's beginning to look like toxic leadership, the kind of workplace where ideas get pitched, ignored, ridiculed, and then blamed when they flop. This isn't even about likability anymore. It's about whether anyone still wants to work with them. That number, 22, screams dysfunction. No matter how many filtered lifestyle photos or inspirational quotes they post, it can't drown out what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe the real royal drama isn't in Buckingham Palace anymore. Maybe it's unfolding in a beige California office, under soft lighting and hollow brand slogans. Meghan and Harry seem disconnected from reality, stuck in a self-made PR bubble, where every move is framed as revolutionary, even when the world is watching the exact opposite unfold. There's a strange mix of delusion and overconfidence keeping this whole operation from collapsing, and yet somehow, it keeps wobbling forward. You'd think after the 15th resignation, someone would reassess. But no, it's just more announcements, more launches, more promises that never quite materialize. Take Archwell, their supposed flagship project, a non-profit, production company, and vague content brand all rolled into one. What does it actually do? No one really knows. There have been a couple of podcasts, some charity photo ops, and a lot of lofty talk about impact and values. But measurable results? Pretty scarce. And the team behind it? Disappearing one by one. Directors of strategy, heads of comms, even their social media lead reportedly left before that infamous twerking video could surface. And when these exits happen, they're always accompanied by the same robotic statement. We thank them for their contributions and wish them well. It's hard to take seriously when you've seen it copy-pasted 22 times in a row. And let's not forget Meghan's latest big idea, the American Riviera Orchard. Her re-entry into the lifestyle game was supposed to be a tasteful, elevated brand, echoing Martha Stewart vibes with a Montecito twist. But it turned into a confusing Instagram drop, a handful of jam jars, and a flurry of influencer confusion. No launch, no clear strategy, just a name, a gold label, and zero follow-through. It's the same cycle over and over. Big hype, awkward rollout, radio silence. Like when Harry dropped a podcast on Spotify and then ghosted the entire platform. Or Meghan's Archetypes series, which promised deep conversations but fizzled out quietly after a few episodes. They seem obsessed with the launch moment, the headlines, the buzz, but uninterested in the work that follows. At some point, the public starts asking hard questions. Like, why do they need a full communications team if they barely communicate? Why hire top strategists if their advice is constantly ignored? How long can you blame everyone else before you realize the misunderstood genius act doesn't play forever? This isn't about palace politics anymore. It's about professionalism, accountability, and basic leadership. If 22 highly qualified people choose to leave a brand with this much visibility and potential, maybe the problem isn't the team. Maybe the foundation was never solid to begin with. There's a strange irony in how Meghan and Harry set out to escape the rigid structure of royal life, hoping to build something freer, more authentic. But instead, they've recreated their own mess. One built not on tradition, but on shaky decisions, confused branding, and a desperate chase for validation. It's clear now that this isn't just a brand in crisis. It's a brand unraveling. Every new move feels less like strategy and more like scrambling. One week it's a flashy rollout, the next a somber interview, then a random event appearance or social media stunt. There's no through line, no consistency, just noise. And behind that noise, the so-called dream team, the people meant to steer the ship, is gone. What's left is a frantic PR machine that feels more reactive than visionary. The sad truth? Harry and Meghan had everything going for them. A global platform, public sympathy, elite connections. But instead of using those tools to build something lasting, they chose spectacle over structure, headlines over strategy, control over collaboration. And now they're watching the consequences play out, one resignation at a time. The entertainment industry is small, and word travels fast. When people leave, they talk. And when this many leave the same team, that reputation spreads like wildfire. It doesn't matter what the press releases say. What matters is what's whispered in green rooms, at agency lunches, and in back-channel emails. Chaos, burnout, confusion, micromanagement. These stories pile up, and eventually no paycheck or title is worth walking into that storm. What's most telling is that the drama has become the brand, not by design, but by default. People don't associate the Sussex name with leadership or change anymore. They associate it with dysfunction. It's exhausting. And for those still hoping for a redemption arc, it's getting harder to believe it'll ever come. Because underneath it all, there probably is a real story of two people trying to take control of their lives, their legacy, their future. But that version keeps getting buried under the weight of bad decisions, overplayed narratives, and an unrelenting need to stay in the spotlight. If there's any hope left, it won't come from another glossy rollout or emotional podcast. It'll come from stepping back, taking responsibility, and rebuilding from the ground up. Until then, all we're left with is the slow-motion collapse of a brand that once held so much promise. And the most heartbreaking part? Meghan and Harry still think they're holding the pen.